Okay, before I start talking about the actual movie itself, I'll give a little history about me, just so you know where I'm coming from. Yeah, I'm 44 years old, so I saw the original Star Wars in the theater, and I saw Empire Strikes Back, I saw Return of the Jedi, and I saw them when they were re-released down the line in the theater. I'm not talking about the special edition, I'm talking about, like when Star Wars came out in 77, it was re-released in the theater throughout the years leading up to Empire Strikes Back. And Empire Strikes Back was too, leading up to Jedi. And Jedi actually came out in the theater again in '85, and I saw it then. And then on the video release for Jedi came out in '86, I think it was, like February '86. So we had a lot of anticipation back then as a kid. Most kids didn't have home video like it is today. You couldn't download anything, obviously. But it was just a different time. And of course, I've seen the evolution of movies growing up my whole life. I saw what it was like where they had to use stop motion photography all the way up until CGI started coming out. I think the first CGI you really saw, it was done I think in '84. That movie, what's it called, The Last Starfighter, did some, but it was crappy, computer rated. It was garbage. It looked stupid. Then Ron Howard used the morphing effect in Willow. Then James Cameron pretty much mastered that when The Abyss came out. That had a lot. And then, of course, from then on, things just skyrocketed. CGI just became bigger and better down the line. Like True Lies, the whole Harrier sequence was pretty spectacular. Even now it holds up. You look back at it. But back then when it came out, that Harrier sequence in True Lies was just mind-blowing. You couldn't believe what you were seeing. Seeing Schwarzenegger fly that thing and landing it was awesome. So yeah, I've seen the evolution of movies back from the 70s up to today. And another way to look at The Force Awakens too, let's just forget the prequels ever happened. Let's pretend the last Star Wars was Return of the Jedi. And of course some fanboys who rag on the prequels so much are going to go, no, that really was the last Star Wars. Well, okay, let's say that the prequels never happened. And The Force Awakens now, 30 years later, that's the new version of Star Wars. That's what we got. So let's pretend that's the way it is. If you look at it that way, is The Force Awakens really a good Star Wars movie? I don't think so. I think people are only calling it a good Star Wars movie just because the prequels exist. They want something different than the prequels. And that's what they wanted. Really, The Force Awakens, I mean, the movie took no risks at all. I'm not going to say I don't like the movie. I did. There's a lot of things about the movie I liked. I really liked the characters, which is actually a big point about Star Wars. What makes people really love the original trilogy is because it had great characters. You just pretty much fell in love with the characters, and that's what you really cared about. So every little thing that they go through, you feel it touches you personally. Like when Han Solo gets stuck in the carbon freeze and all that stuff. You really felt bad. You felt bad when Luke got his hand cut off. He's hanging there at the bottom of Cloud City and everything like that. Leading up all the movies, you care about the characters so much. And I think what they did right with The Force Awakens, they created pretty good characters. Except Kylo Ren. Actually, he started out promising, but I don't like what they did with him at the end. But yeah, the things I did like about The Force Awakens, I thought it was funny. It was fun. I mean, no denying it's a fun movie. I mean, I think it's made that anybody can just watch the movie and think it's fun. I mean, of course it's fun. The dialogue's there. It's got good, witty lines. And the Rey character was handled well. The Daisy Ridley one, where she starts out and where she ends up. It's pretty cool to see that. And Finn, he's pretty much just there for comic relief, kinda, really. I mean, that's pretty much all he does. But he has, of course, they're friends, though. He becomes friends with Rey. He cares about her. So that adds a little bit of drama near the end of the movie. And the Poe Dameron pilot guy, he's cool, but he doesn't really do much. So yeah, Kylo Ren, let me talk about him. I think the character starts out great. He had a cool sounding voice. It was almost like he was talking to a radio, his voice, the way it sounded. And the one part people like when he gets pissed off and he takes his lightsaber out and just fucks up the control room. Then he goes, anything else? That's funny. What I didn't like when he was interrogating Daisy Ridley, the Rey character, first, I didn't like that he pulled his mask off that early. I think they should have saved that for when Han Solo and him meet. That's when they should have saved the face reveal. That's when it should have came. But and also what I didn't like when she escapes and he goes in there and starts tearing the place up again. We did not need to see that, emo rage twice in the movie. That was out of place for me. I didn't like that. And the movie had kind of inconsistent things. He was like pretty powerful with the Force. He could stop laser bolts. As he's talking to somebody else, he's still holding it there. The beginning of the movie, and then it's just things that are kind of inconsistent with the character. But so it's, I don't know, not really a big fan of how they handled him. He was just like a spoiled brat, really. That's kind of like what he turned out to be. The super cool villain, then all of a sudden he's like just a spoiled brat, sort of. So yeah, also I wanted to say this too before I start. I mean, you could pick apart this movie left and right if you wanted to, but think of this though. Every single action adventure movie pretty much that's ever been made is based on like characters doing stupid things or illogical things that no normal person would do just to make the story work, to fit into the plot. Basically to take the story where the screenwriter and director need it to go to get to the end. That's kind of what this movie does. That every movie pretty much does that. It's hard to find an action adventure movie that doesn't do that in some way or another. So it's hard to really. I mean, I could rag on this movie that way too. You can do it for Star Wars too. You can, the original Star Wars. You can do it pretty much for any movie out there. Jurassic World, they do stupid things. It's just things are done so yeah, the movie can move along. And like it's also a lot of things in action adventure movies are based on coincidence. Just like The Force Awakens, it's a coincidence. Oh, Han Solo's flying around, gets the Millennium Falcon back. What would happen if Han Solo did become a smuggler again? They would have just, they wouldn't have met then. And, the story wouldn't have worked then. So they had to make it. They had to make his character a smuggler again, just so they could meet Rey and Finn in the Falcon again. It's done for plot reasons, just to make the story work. And that's just how it goes. Yeah, any action adventure movie is going to be like that. In the comments below, if you can think of an action adventure movie that doesn't do anything like that, doesn't have coincidences and characters doing something kind of stupid just to make the whole story come together, then let me know. Because pretty much any movie, that's a Hollywood blockbuster type movie is going to have that stuff in there. So yes, did I enjoy the movie? Definitely. And like I said, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. Yes, I wanted to see something closer to the original trilogy than the prequels. And I could actually defend the prequels. I might do it later in this video here. But yeah, the prequels had a lot of stupid stuff in them. But let's not talk about that right now. Yeah, like I said, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I'm not a geek. I don't have the toys and stuff like that. As a little kid, I did have pajamas. I had like a whole bed set of Star Wars sheets and pillowcases and all the blankets. I had all that stuff, but I didn't have all the toys, and I wasn't crazy. I played sports as a kid. I went outside, and so I wasn't like that. But when it came to movies, though, I was a huge Star Wars fan. I can remember when I first saw it again. It came on HBO, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's on HBO now!" And I remember finally getting home video. I had Star Wars for Christmas. We got home video stuff. They rented The Empire Strikes Back, and then they bought Star Wars because it was actually affordable then. Back then, movies actually were not available for sale like they are now. They had retail prices of like $100 back then. They were actually made to rent. They weren't available like they are now for sale. It was a different time back then. Yeah, so I did. I enjoyed The Force Awakens. It was a fun movie. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it felt like the original trilogy. It had that feeling of Star Wars again in that sense, where it was just leave your brain at the door kind of thing. You just watch what happens, and it was a fun movie. But yeah, there are a lot of things I did not like about it. The biggest thing, that it was just a straight up ripoff of A New Hope, the original Star Wars. I'm going to call it Star Wars. I don't go by A New Hope. See, growing up, it's like this: the first one's Star Wars, the second one you called The Empire Strikes Back, the last one is Return of the Jedi. That's what we called it. And of course, after when I was a kid growing up, I never even thought. You heard rumors, like in magazines and things, about Lucas maybe doing a prequel trilogy or something, but you never thought it was going to happen. Because it didn't happen until '99. Jedi came out in '83, so you never, as time was going on, you never thought it was going to happen. You seriously, you didn't think it was going to happen. You thought Jedi was the last Star Wars movie. But yeah, I'm going to call it Star Wars, the first one. That's what it is. Like people now are calling it, this one, Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Back in the day, if it came out, you'd just be calling it The Force Awakens. That's all you'd be calling it. Yeah, it was fun. It felt like the original trilogy in a way. But the problem with the movie I really had, the action scenes were, this is one thing, the action scenes, they were terrible. I did like the Millennium Falcon chase on Jakku. That was cool. But little things you can notice too that were kind of stupid. You have Finn going, fly low, it fucks up her tracking. Why do they need to fly low to fuck the tracking of the TIE Fighters up? The TIE Fighters can see the fucking Millennium Falcon. They don't need to have tracking systems. They can see it. It's right there. It's right in front of them. They don't need to track it. In other words, see, that's another thing. He's saying what he really means is fly low because it looks cool if we fly low, and that's really what it's there for. Fly low because it looks cooler, and we can fly into a Star Destroyer. That's the reason he said fly low. That's a script writing thing. You don't need to. They try to give a reason why to fly low by saying it messes the tracking up, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is because JJ and they just wanted to have a sequence that the Falcon flying around through shit. That was the reason. Has anybody ever mentioned that or thought about that? But probably not. But that's the real reason. So yeah, I like that sequence. It was pretty cool. That's what really felt like Star Wars right there. That sequence was awesome. I liked that a lot. And another sequence, I did like the ending with the lightsaber fights stuff. The only reason I liked it because it had drama to it. That when Kylo Ren's trying to pull Luke's saber out, he can't do it, and then Daisy really, as it turns out, she was stopping it, blocking it, I guess. Because there's no reason at all that if she wasn't, in the background, you couldn't see her. If he was just trying to pull it out, he could easily pull it out. Why couldn't he? But yeah, when she gets it, and then that's just a cool moment right there. But it had problems too, though. I mean, she got back up, obviously. She's using the Force to get the lightsaber. And as they're fighting, she kind of starts off, she's kind of winning, and then, she's retreating now. And then he's got her backed up against over the cliff thing, and then, then then she remembers again she can use the Force. Come on, that's kind of stupid. So yeah, it's done. It's a textbook. That whole sequence was textbook right there. You start off strong, you start losing, you come back. It's just how it is.